everybody, welcome to the Hacienda. Ribbit here. Today we are going to make Napoleon's favorite dish, chicken Marengo. This dish was invented after the Battle of Marengo, which is in northern Italy, and back then Marengo was not part of Italy. I believe it was part of the Papal States. But anyway, Napoleon and his army had a wonderful victory over the battle, and after the battle and approaching the battle, they had moved so quickly, they had left their baggage trains in the dust, so they really didn't have anything, no tables, no cutlery, no food, nothing at the end of the battle. So he sent his chef out with his crew foraging. They found a farmhouse, they snagged a chicken, they found some tomatoes, some eggs, an onion. Of course, they all had wine, and so we're going to use a good Burgundy, a Chablis, which is what they carried with them at the time. And they found a swift-moving, nice stream by the farmhouse, and it was full of crawfish. So they snagged a bunch of crawfish too. Now, we don't have crawfish, so we're utilizing Gulf shrimp. So let's get cooking. We're going to start out by pan frying the bone-in chicken thighs in olive oil. Most likely, the chef, when they captured the chicken, or the chickens, they didn't have their baggage train wagon of their cooking utensils, so they most likely just skinned the chicken instead of boiling it in hot water and plucking it. So we're going to brown them on both sides. Then we're going to set it off to the side. They don't need to be cooked all the way through, because we'll finish that later. We're cooking these babies over medium heat, and they are smelling really good. Okay, so we've taken the chicken and put it off to the side to stay warm, and I drained off most of the oil. And so now we're going to deglaze the pan, and we're going to fry up one large shallot. Now, remember, this is a very rustic recipe, and we're going to add some bone broth. Now, how did the chef get some bone broth, you ask? Well, when they had these old rangy chickens, they more than likely chopped off their heads and their legs, and possibly their wings, and they browned that in wine, and they boiled those parts to make chicken stock, chicken broth. And I learned that by researching this recipe heavily. It is a very historical recipe and very well loved by not just Napoleon, but by Italians especially, and the French. It's good stuff. So let's get that to a boil. And the pan is now almost completely deglazed. So join me in a bit. Alright, the pan is nicely deglazed. Now it's time to add the Chablis. This is from Burgundy, and this is traditionally what chicken Marengo was made with. And of course, the army being French, they didn't keep all their wine in the wagon trains. Each one, I'm sure, had a bottle or two in their saddlebags. So that's why that chef had some wine. To that, let me forget, we're going to add the salt and pepper and the oregano powder, and they foraged and they found thyme, so we're going to throw in some thyme. So join me in a bit. Okay, you notice that we're keeping the thyme kind of bunched up over here, so that'll make it easy to fish out, because we're going to fish it out shortly. We're going to get a little flavor. Right now we want to reduce the broth and the wine a little bit before we enter our second addition. Okay, you see how this is nicely reduced. Very concentrated, very flavorful, and I've removed the thyme. Now we're going to add the crushed tomatoes and the diced tomatoes. Now, when the chef first made this recipe, they found fresh tomatoes in the farmhouse the property. And so apparently in the recipe they just chopped them up, diced them up, and fried them up. Well, it is almost November and tomatoes are not in season. The only kind I can get are those plastic ones imported from Canada, some hothouse, and they don't taste like anything. So that's why I'm going with canned tomatoes. So you see how nice and thick that sauce is. We're going to add a little bit more wine, and we're going to turn it over high heat. Then I'll show you what we're going to do. We have now nestled the chicken back in there, and now we're going to cook it uncovered for about 20 minutes or so, so this thickens up. I've tasted the sauce. Had to add about another teaspoon of salt. Oh, by the way, I added another half cup of wine. And so now we're going to simmer this like this uncovered. Join me later. The sauce is thickening nicely. So now, with the last 10 minutes of cooking, we're going to add the shrimp. Now, in the original recipe, he used crayfish, but we don't have any. And shrimp is a perfect, modern, acceptable replacement. Now, these are still pretty darn cold, so we want to continue to cook them until they are done. And I think we're going to leave the lid off until they're cooked. Okay, and here's a plate of that delicious steaming chicken Marengo with the shrimp in place of crayfish. And of course, chicken Marengo always has to have toast. And in the original recipe, they found some stale bread in the farmhouse, and they most likely just fried it in olive oil. They didn't toast it. And that's not it. We got the crowning achievement. Stay tuned. Alright, well, you remember those eggs that the chef found? Yep, chicken Marengo is traditionally crowned with a fried egg. Okay, so let's try it. First off, I'm going to try a shrimper. Very tasty. I'd like to point out, although you astute viewers have figured it out already, this is a very rustic dish. Rustic ingredients. It's not going to blow you away with 17,000 layers of flavor, but it is awesome. That sauce is very, very good. Now, Napoleon liked it so much that he said, he instructed the chef prior to every battle from now on, I want you to make this for me because it's got, it's a good luck charm, so to speak. So one day, the chef was preparing it before some battle. The battle is unknown, but he substituted mushrooms for the crayfish because he couldn't find any. Well, when he served it to Napoleon before the battle, he took one bite of the mushroom and he said, "This is delightful, but I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to jinx the battle. It has to have crayfish in it." So he pushed the plate away and didn't eat it. And so from then on, Napoleon's dish always had those crayfish in it. That chicken is perfectly done. So tasty. And of course, in modern times, you go research this recipe and they got black olives and green olives and mushrooms and potatoes and all kinds of garbage in it. But no, it's supposed to be very plain, very unobtrusive, very delicious. Now, historical accounts say the egg was fried hard and then it was cut into quarters and it was eaten that way. Napoleon did not have silverware because the baggage trains were gone. So he dove into this with his fingers. And of course there was no napkins either. So he ate this with his hands and wiped them on his uniform. And that's why the eggs were probably fried hard, so he could pick up a quarter and just eat it without yolk running everywhere. But anyway, Napoleon's chicken Marengo. Delicious stuff. Make again. Hope you liked it, people. Y'all take care.